J. Christian Adams is with us. He's the attorney who resigned from the voting section of the Civil Rights Division of the Department of Justice over the handling of the new Black Panthers case. There is going to be testimony tomorrow from, I guess, your boss, Christian. Is that right?
He was.
Yeah, and that, of course, is Christopher Coates. Now, let me ask you about some earlier testimony before the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights, and that is the testimony of Assistant Attorney General Thomas E. Perez. Tell me that story. What did Perez say that you objected to so badly?
Well, there was a bunch of things, but let's talk about the thing that he testified to that's been discredited this week. He said all along, and the Department of Justice has been saying from day one, that this was just a dispute among lowly career civil servants. One civil servant wanted to dismiss the case. Other civil servants disagreed. Well, we found, and Tom Perez testified about that same exact thing under oath in May of this year. He said, it's just civil servants, nothing to see. Nobody political was involved. Well, Judicial Watch this week, the group Judicial Watch, got some documents through a Freedom of Information Act lawsuit that shows that testimony and that spin that the department has been giving the public since last year is absolutely, completely false. Mm-hmm. And what the documents show is that debates about the Black Panthers and what to do with this case went the whole way to the number 2 man, the presidential appointee, the Deputy Attorney General inside the Justice Department, the number 3 man at the Justice Department, another Obama presidential appointee. These are top-level people.
So this was false testimony on the part of Tom Perez.
Yeah, I mean, it's not what the documents show. And
was he under oath?
That's right, and they've been under oath in front of Congress on the same issue.
All right, so then Thomas Perez, the Assistant Attorney General, perjured himself.
Well, I'm not a perjury expert, and so there's a lot of law there that I'm not familiar with. All I can tell you is that it is inaccurate to say that only career civil servants were involved. We see that the highest levels of the Justice Department were debating how to kill this case.
Yeah, debating how to kill a case because they believed that the people who were at the center of this case were incapable under the law of this type of violation.
No, that's exactly right. It's an ideology that is repugnant to our American system of equal justice under law.
All right, and Tom Perez was part and parcel of this.
Well, he wasn't there when the case was being debated. Let's make that clear. He came on later. He was confirmed finally by the Senate in September. All of this was going on in April and May. But the number 2 man, David Ogden, who's the Deputy Attorney General, and the number 3 man, Tom Pirelli, were continuously engaged in deliberations about what to do in this case. And
do they consider it a nuisance?
Oh, there's no question about it. These folks hate these cases for a variety of reasons, but they simply don't think the civil rights laws should be used to protect whites on behalf of national folks.
Well, and potentially upset Barack Obama's political base.
Well, it upsets groups like the NAACP greatly. One of the things that happened is the NAACP Legal Defense Fund was actually lobbying to have the case dismissed before it was dismissed. How about that?
Yeah, and the thing too, I'll say it. I mean, you can't say it, but if Thomas Perez testified falsely under oath, that's perjury. And this is the guy who's controlling this lawsuit against Joe Arpaio and the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office.
No, that's exactly right. And you folks out in Texas, Lamar Smith and Ted Poe and Louis Gohmert have been on top of this issue, and they deserve a lot of credit.
Yeah, those are good folks.
Yeah, they've been following this Black Panther case, and Lamar Smith is taking it very seriously, and he deserves some credit for that. Yeah,
absolutely. Now, let me use a word here, and you tell me if I'm describing this situation correctly that could unfold here over today and tomorrow. Explosive?
No question about it.
Does that cover it?
No question.
Will this be on CNN? Will it be on CBS Evening News with Katie Couric?
Well, CNN probably, yes. CBS has spiked a number of stories on this issue. I can speak firsthand about that. I know the date they did it. So,
and the other 2 of the big 3, same thing?
Yeah, NBC ran it. ABC has never covered the story.
Never covered the story at all?
Never once.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, look, how big does this story have to get for Diane Sawyer and her crew to cover it, and George Stephanopoulos?
Well, that's a good question. You know, I mean, you have all the elements of a big story. At least when I was growing up, you would have thought that something like this was newsworthy. But look, I can't speak to that. Your listeners know all about it. The media is changing. Pajamas Media has been covering it. Fox News has been covering it. BigGovernment.com, Breitbart has been covering it. So it's out there.
Well, gosh, let me ask you about the big thing that most people say on the other side of this issue, and that is that, okay, these were mostly black voters in a mostly black precinct, and the two new Black Panthers were black guys, and they weren't really intimidating anybody because everybody that was going to vote there was going to vote for Obama anyway. Is there any truth to that?
It doesn't matter. I mean, there's so many things wrong with that argument. First of all, there's no numeric minimum for intimidation. Otherwise, the Klan would post Klansmen out in front of minority polling places all around the South, and if nobody came to vote, they can get away with it if you adopt that logic. Secondly, and perhaps most importantly, America does not stand for the principle that you can stand in front of a polling place and with a weapon brandishing it at individuals and shouting racial slurs. That's not who we are. And all of those other arguments fall away in the face of that single truth, that this is not what America is all about.
Yeah. Now, if this is big, and let me ask you, this testimony by Christopher Coates, will that be in open session?
Yes, and I suspect Fox News will probably stream it. They streamed my testimony. C-SPAN may very well be there. I know Pajamas Media is going to cover it very intensely. Chip
Reed will probably be there. I feel sure Chip Reed will show up.
So I don't know about, but
that's CBS.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I'm just making fun of that. I cannot imagine. The big cable networks. What about MSNBC? Where are they on this?
Listen, your listeners can have a comedy hour tomorrow night. Tune in the nightly news and watch the stories that they do cover instead of voter intimidation being covered up by the Justice Department. That'll be a real fun treat.
Okay, some of these networks are slow to get on board. The Tea Party is a great example, Christian. I've actually heard people like Brian Williams say on Larry King Live or something, look, yeah, we didn't think there was anything to it, but it finally realized it's a huge story, and we've finally gotten on it, even though we've gotten on it late. That could happen here. If that does happen, suppose this story does make the New York Times and the Washington Post and the three mainstreams and CNN, in addition to Fox and Talk Radio. What does that mean for Eric Holder?
Well, I mean, that'll be an improvement, but it'll also be a shock.
Well, I mean, could he get fired over this?
It's possible, but the politics of it, I just don't have an answer.
All right. Is there any reaction on any of this from the White House?
They've been asked, and they clam up whenever the question is asked during the White House press briefings. Okay, but let me ask you this then. Oh, before I forget about it, Ben has instant messaged your website. It's www.electionlawcenter.com, www.electionlawcenter.com. Is all of this data up on that site, Christian? A lot of it. They can get a whole lot there between electionlawcenter.com and Pajamas Media. Your listeners can get a crash course in the Black Panther case.
Yeah, because I'm curious. You've done my show. Will you be doing more shows today and tomorrow?
I'm glad you asked because I've got to go.
All right. Go do your other interview. Look, I'm glad that you had this much time for us. Our half hour, our segment is coming to an end as well. So go out there, do it. Let's get this story out, Christian, and let's see where the chips fall.
All right. It's been great talking to you, Lynn. I love Texas. I can't wait to get back.
All right. Well, if you're in our area, stop by the studio.
Okay. Bye-bye.
All right. That's J. Christian Adams, ladies and gentlemen. The website is www.electionlawcenter.com, www.electionlawcenter.com, and, of course, Pajamas Media. Mr. Barry?